Conversations for me are not the same as conversations for other people. So while you're asking me questions and while I'm answering them, I'm also hearing voices telling me that I suck, that my answers are awful.
Are any of the voices saying anything about us?
A few minutes ago, started hearing your voice, like from the inside. That voice is telling me, we want to leave, you're taking up our time.
You're hearing my voice right now telling you in your head that your answers are bad and that you suck.
Yeah.
So how are you able to distinguish between the voice that sounds like me that's in your head and the voice that is me that's asking you a question?
I'm using a strategy. I'm looking at your mouth and I'm watching and making sure that you're not moving your lips. That way I'm able to kind of take that information and go back and realize that I'm hearing your voice, but other people around me are not hearing your voice. So I hear voices that other people around me aren't hearing. Sometimes they come from inside my head. Sometimes they come from outside my head. Sometimes they ping off the walls. Sometimes I hear them from my organs. My name is Jeannie Bass. I'm a voice hearer. I'm also a mother. I work full-time as a certified peer specialist at a psych hospital.
Jeannie Bass is a leader in the Hearing Voices movement. It's a small global community for individuals who hear voices or have other extreme mental experiences, the kind of experiences that society labels crazy. But the movement believes that hearing voices isn't necessarily a sign of a mental illness, like schizophrenia. This conflicts with the traditional medical position that these voices are auditory hallucinations and are caused by the brain not working properly.
One of the problems with understanding your experiences under the umbrella of terms like schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder, which is what I was most commonly called, is that your life is limited by the diagnosis.
Jeannie takes medication, but believes her progress came from meeting other people like her and developing strategies to cope with their shared experiences. The movement is very new to the United States, and its organizing body, the Hearing Voices Network, sponsors over 100 support groups in 25 states.
We see these experiences as unique but common human experiences and something that's normal. You know, hearing voices is it's an audible experience for me, you know, I can hear it, and it's sometimes hard to realize that other people aren't hearing it as well. The thing with voices and people is that you can deal with them in the same way. Like when I take a shower, my voices will tell me to shave my head. I will feel a physical urge to reach for the razor, pick it up, and start shaving my hair off. You know, it's usually one particular voice that really pushes, so I will negotiate with the voice that, you know, if it stops making me feel the physical urge to reach for the razor and shave my precious hair off, instead of listening to music on the way to work, I will spend time talking to it and giving it attention. Same way you would negotiate with a child if they wanted something.
I think the brain is an amazing machine. It has an ability to produce reality in a most vivid way. Schizophrenia is an umbrella concept that incorporates a number of experiences that people have, ranging from hearing voices, seeing things, perceiving things that are not there, having beliefs that are not substantiated or supported by facts, and having full conviction in those beliefs. Hallucinations or hearing voices, for example, there's some estimates that up to 10% of the population hear voices. People that actually seek treatment or require treatment, this is probably about 2%, 3% at most. Part of it is trying to help people have a more reality-based view of their experiences. Some people do it kind of on their own. They sort of have an understanding that the voices that they hear, it's a product of their mind. While this experience may be disturbing or annoying, they generally function fairly well. They have jobs, they have families, they have kids.
Antipsychotic medication is the most common treatment for schizophrenia-related symptoms. Very few patients have access to therapy. Medication helps some patients, but not all, and it can cause serious side effects, like weight gain, low blood pressure, body tremors, and seizures. There are some in the Hearing Voices movement who reject psychiatry and the medical paradigm altogether. The Hearing Voices Network of New York sponsors several peer support meetings in New York City, A handful of members from one of these groups allowed NBC News to film their conversation at a different location.
Going to start off with our regular spiel. So this is a meeting specifically for experiences that are hard to talk about sometimes. Whatever you say is happening. We believe you. Whatever your interpretation is welcome here.
Today I feel a little discouraged about some problems, but mostly happy to see everyone. So yesterday I had a really good day, but then I got home and was aware of how people were mean to me sometimes throughout the day.
You know, sometimes if you're having a bad day, I remember one of the most profound statements I've ever heard. If you start understanding that something is not right at a particular time of the day, don't let it stay with you. Move on to the next hour. If it's still with you in the next hour, work on getting rid of it the next hour.
I kind of have recovered. I have recovered a lot. Yeah. And that I do have a say in it to a certain extent, even when I feel really discouraged, in an overall way. You know, even last night, it's there I was safe in my apartment, and it could be so much worse, but then I'm feeling the bad feelings, you know, so.
I think so much of it is about those moments of empowerment, right? Like when a voice is getting especially chatty, you know, I think so much of it is about that, of finding those moments of strength.
This is the cemeterium stuff, based on real tombstones. I mean, I love this store and I love the goth culture because I feel like it's not that different from the Hearing Voices movement. It's full of diverse people from all different backgrounds. It really is a culture that embraces darkness, and I think a lot of us that hear voices are so comfortable with that because we've lived in kind of hell on earth. This is the wheel of misfortune. This is a great band, but it's also such a perfect Salem shirt because this is truly the city of misfits. Anything goes here. Most people assume that people that hear voices don't want to hear them and want them to go away, when in truth, I think for a lot of us, our voices have been there when no one else has, and we don't want them to go away. All the strong female writers, I'm going to channel them while I write my book. Each of us has the ability to define our own experiences, and that's vastly different than what you get in the mental health system. No one that hears voices is alone.
There's a substantial proportion of society that have at one point or other in their life, they're going to experience mental health issues, whether it's depression or anxiety or schizophrenia spectrum kind of disorders or others. So that's a common experience. This is not like a small fringe.
You know, I have one voice, the Mary Magdalene voice that I hear, and she's spiritual. And I used to believe I was Mary Magdalene. I no longer believe I'm Mary, but I do feel a connection to her from beyond. I have one voice that relates to my childhood and my trauma. One voice that's like a shadow that represents kind of my old life where I used to be very tumultuous and wild. She keeps me fun even though, you know, I'm a different person. You know, I have a choice over what I listen to and what I respond to and what I obey, but I definitely don't have a choice about what I hear.
After we leave, how long do you anticipate my voice staying in your head?
You know what's interesting? I might always hear your voice. It could go away, so maybe, it'll probably be I don't know, if I was to guess, maybe a week or two.
I think that if we talk to people individually outside of the peer pressure, people would say, yeah, hearing voices is an amazing phenomenon. If you actually describe it, be like, wow, that sounds really weird, really interesting. For me, this is a fascinating phenomenon, whatever it might be. And for me, it started 10 years ago, and I now have a steady job, I'm married, but it took work. It took finding peace with myself and going through a lot of different experiences.
I've had to keep a lot of mental illness hidden in my life. The stuff that you would say to people it's just all this ordinary stuff, and then the most interesting thing, you know, something like, oh, there's a face in a poster talking to me, you know, that's the thing that doesn't get told. It's a strange thing, and I think this group kind of helps overcome that absurdity.
I think schizophrenia is one of the most stigmatized, if not the most stigmatized diagnosis one can have. There is fear. Part of it is from lack of information or lack of education. So people that have these diagnoses or have these experiences may internalize that. They're people. And I think often that's kind of get lost.
They're called shards. So that's what you call sea glass. And they take many, many years to get smooth. You know, when I was in the hospital, they had basically written me off and said I would be like that forever. And my mom had gotten really, really upset, and obviously. And so she had looked for something for herself, like to try to take care of herself. And so she started collecting sea glass. She would pick me up on the weekends and we would go to the beach and look for glass. I actually think that looking for sea glass is kind of like working with your voices. You have to really look behind what you see. Like, you can't take your voices at face value a lot of the time. They're telling you things in a code, in a message. What are they trying to teach me about my life? Or what are they trying to teach me about myself or about the world? Oh God, it takes like 50 years or something to smooth out glass. It's really a long time. It's treasure.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.